All right, thank you and good morning. I'm Vince Collins, an Esri account manager for local government customers in Arizona. As we think about our vision of resilient communities and interconnected societies, this pandemic has shown us, like no other crisis in the past, how closely connected governments, businesses, and every citizen is. This is not only a story about COVID-19, because this story will end at some point in the future. The big picture is that this is really a story about preparing for the next crisis, be it a natural disaster, economic crisis, or climate change. And the tools being used today are the same tools that can be expanded and better leveraged for any crisis that is coming. What is critical is that as we take lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic to all operations and all types of crises, we can start to see how the solutions we can enable can be applied, not just to COVID-19, but to the next hurricane, or cyclone, or wildfire, or tornado. In the Mideast and Africa, the next crisis is already happening with desert locusts and how it will affect the food supply. And on the bottom of this timeline, we're already seeing signs of crisis with unemployment and social unrest. So all of these crises will be facing different organizations around the world, but location intelligence is key for every one of them. Location intelligence applied to any crisis can create resilient communities and interconnected societies. It's an honor for me to introduce David Moss, fourth largest county in the United States, Maricopa County. During David's session, he will focus on his team's ability to leverage Esri technology to deploy workflow streamlining solutions during the pandemic and beyond. David?
Thank you, Vince. I appreciate you contacting me. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here today. One of the things I would like to explain today as we get into it is perception is reality. And one of my favorite quotes that hopefully you are aware of is, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. And that was by Colonel Jessup and a few good men. And one of the things you have to do is, when I joined, I had to make sure to figure out what my perception was of my team within our department. Not only within our department, but on the staff, as well as with our customers. And as you can see here, my staff was extremely happy. They knew what their roles were, what they were doing. They were in their bubble. And then my department was kind of like, yeah, we have location intelligence, but we're not quite sure what you guys do, how you operate. And then I had my customers who, as you can see through the meter, they were on the edge of, some of them were our normal customers every day. They were okay. They weren't extremely happy. And then I had a lot of them that kind of didn't really know what was going on and what we did, or that we were even a real in the community and everything like that. So one of those things is you got to take that perception and you got to use it to your benefit. So I met with all of our key stakeholders, the directors and upper leadership, and I said I had to acknowledge what my perception was. I didn't believe it, but I had to acknowledge it. And once I acknowledged it, then I could go into my strategy on how we was going to try to change this perception and develop our culture as well as our environment. And so one of the things is you got to acknowledge it. Once you acknowledge it, they're like, okay, about 75% of our customers like, I can understand that perception. Some of them agree with it. The majority of them kind of agree with it. Some of them didn't, but they could understand it. And then the discussions were starting to be had. And then from there, understanding my perception allowed me to now start crafting my strategy. And one of the things that I had to do with the strategy is I kind of kept it very simple. And one of my favorite basketball players is Kobe Bryant. And you may have heard about this mama mentality. And it's about being the best you can be at what you do. And that is me. If you know me in Maricopa County, and if you had presentations with me or seen me around, I want to be the best. I want to be everybody. I compete within my own department. I compete within the state of Arizona. I even compete in the US. So that type of mentality, I had to figure out, how do I get that to my staff? And as you can see on here, we have our different strategies that I put together. But on the strategy for that, the key piece was my staff and my people. Because no matter how the strategy is going to be played out or what it's going to be, if my people are not good at what they do and I don't have the right people in the right spots, then it doesn't work. So first things first is to look at my organization, and I also, redid my organizational chart. I redid my organization. In the 6 years I've been there, I've done it 3 times. If you haven't reorged your organization and shifted things around and looked at how it can be better, then you're doing a disservice to your staff and your customers. So I was able to do that. Then when I got there, I interviewed everybody, and personally, as well as you can do it in a survey, and just ask them simple questions. Not like, are you happy, but do you like what your career is? Do you enjoy what you're doing every day? Do you understand the strategies or the direction of the department and the county? Do you understand how your job fits in? All those things turn into, are you happy working there? And so by doing that, then I found out 2 major issues that I had on my team. One was the majority of my team did not have admin access to their own PCs. So every time they need to do any GIS or location intelligence or anything, look at a PDF, they had to put in a help desk ticket to try to get the PDF version installed. So that right there took morale down. So the first week, we made sure everybody had admin access and what that meant, what responsibility they had to make sure they installed the right software and the right things on their laptops and their desktops. 2, training. When I got there, we hadn't been to the Esri conference in like 3 years. Here it is, I have all these qualified employees that want to do all this great work, and they're not getting just the bare basic level training. And Esri conference, if you've been, is one of the best training mechanisms you can have. Other than the ones where you do individual trainings online and things through their training center, but that's one of the better ones, and it helps with collaboration. It helps with understanding your peers, just being in the know. And so right then, I was like, okay, we're going to start going to the conference. Is mandatory, and half the staff is going to go every year. The first couple of years, people would ask me, are we going? Are we going? Are we going? I'm like, yes, it is mandatory. So I made training mandatory to do your job. Now, you're not going to train everything people need to do, but if you get them the basic training, then you can hold them accountable and make them responsible for delivering the tools we need. So those are the 2 main things on top of that. And then also that first year, I replaced all the keyboards with wireless mouse, replaced people's chairs, and things like that. And then I found out that we could do monitors. And I went around and gave our high-end staff, the ones that are my sharpest ones on the team, my highest performers, I gave them 34-inch curved screen monitors. You will believe people thought it was Christmas and doing this because think about it, right? You want to do good work, you got to have the right equipment. It got to be functional and it got to look good. You got to look good to do the job you want them to do. And it became to the point where everybody was envious of my team. Now, 6 years later, everybody, including the secretary, has a 34-inch curved screen monitor on their desk. Those are the little things that get the people to buy into your mentality. And the whole time I'm telling them, I want you to be the best, so I got you the best equipment, get you the best training, get you the best resources. And so they start buying into it. So when they start doing that, then I can start planning on how I'm gonna do better relationships with customers and partners, better process maturity, better application and automation, better monitoring, and technology maintenance and better IT involvement. The IT involvement, you wouldn't think that would be a big thing, but it was because we were in an IT department, and most of our folks in our department didn't really understand what we did. They were also going out talking to customers. When they heard about certain things, they wouldn't suggest to our team. And so that was a big thing. I want to make sure our data center, our networking teams, our security teams were aware of the things that we were delivering, aware of how our environment worked and all that. So then that way they could also be components of location intelligence when they're out in the community and they're talking to customers and they're at meetings. So there was an extension of us that we were missing. So those are the things I knew we had to do. And a lot of people ask me like, well, David, we understand these things, but how do I go about doing it? So this operational framework here will help you develop your enterprise location intelligence. And this slide is very critical into actually doing the things you need to do for your strategy to come to life. First things, you got to look at your organization and what you do every year. You can do it more than once if you like, but you got to do at least a year. And you got to share with your key staff and share with your executive leadership so they know where you are and where your plans are, where you're going. That's critical. Also, your training plans. Your training plans, Esri has a great tool set online that you could use to help you build out your training plan by position. And then for those positions, then you can take that and integrate that with your performance plans, include your staff career goals. Also, understand that not everything you do will be directly influenced on your staff. So there's certain things that you do on their career goals that's indirect benefit to you, not direct benefit. And that's okay, right? So we have some folks that need some more career growth or they want to know more about management. That's okay because that'll help you in the long run of creating your culture outside your organization and inside. Also, your quarterly meetings with key customers. That's important. Also, attend their actual staff meetings. You can do one or the other, but you have to understand their business and where they may need location intelligence. And then invite your key staff so they can hear it as well. You know, don't try to hoard all the information and the interaction yourself, but invite them as well. And you got to go do those. Those are important. Some of those meetings only you can go to as an executive because they don't want other people in there. So definitely make time to attend those. I blow off everything else but those meetings because those are critical to building that strategy with those departments, as well as showing how well we are doing. That's where our return on investment comes from, right? If I put in where the location intelligence meets their business goals, they see that return. And that's what you want to do. Also, quarterly meeting with your partners. We have a lot of partners. Esri is one, as well as with our infrastructure, some of our monitoring tools. And because of the crisis, we've upped our engagement with Esri to once a week. And that's been vital to what we do as we work out different scenarios, what applications we can use, which I'll show you later in this presentation, and how we can take advantage of the new tools and the new strategies they're coming out with. And invite your key staff and some of your key customers, right? We are just, we have other GIS departments within our county, and I invite them so they can hear the same things that I hear so we can work together. And it's just not me telling them they should do things, right? They're hearing it from the partners directly. And last but not least, showcase your projects and your staff. That is critical because that alone helps you when it comes time for budget cuts, time for performance increase for pay, time for getting more budget items. That's what it takes. If the perception is you do a great job, they know you and they value what you do, your money and resources will come. If you're having trouble with money and resources, it's because of your perception and you don't showcase your project to staff enough. I do that by submitting for awards. I know IT personnel don't always like awards, but they're beneficial. And as well as using any internal communications, we have a monthly newsletter. And so GIS is constantly in that monthly newsletter. And I also encourage my staff to present at seminars and presentations. That helps them in their career. It also helps me indirectly because now I can let them present and work on projects with customers, with high profile customers without me being there all the time. And I know they won't put their foot in their mouth or promise stuff that we can't deliver. So please take advantage of this and use this constantly and daily, and your team will be better and you will grow. And because we've been using that, this slide, then we're going to go on to our environment and how our environment looks and architecture related to the strategies that we've been putting forth. Here are some of our key customers who we start with first and foremost. As you can see, we have quite a bit of them. And I like to say, you know, we are the best in Arizona. I will, you know, arm wrestle anybody over that. And that's why we have other government agencies that take advantage of our services and you know, work with us as well on different things and use our data quite a bit. And we have about between 20 and 25 departments we support directly, and then we support another 30 or so indirectly. Whereas they may have their own part of their GIS folks or things of that nature. They use our tools indirectly, not directly. And it's always, you know, trying to get to everybody where everybody's using location intelligence directly and indirectly. And so that's always going to be our goal, is pushing forward on that. One of the things here is I like to show you is our enterprise infrastructure at a high level. And one of the things you'll see is ArcGIS Online. And we include that as part of our infrastructure. Without ArcGIS Online, we wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things we do. And it has the location, the areas where we take advantage of it. And we have our production internal site. We have in production internal app servers and web servers in the DMZ. And then we have our production internal only. And so we have about 7 stages, as you can see here. And a lot of people ask me, we have almost 200 servers. Not all of them have GIS direct application software on them, enterprise, but we have some for AI. We have some that has our monitoring tools on it and things of that nature as well that we ingest. And we manage that whole system and infrastructure. One of the things people ask me is why I have a production internal only. We decided to split that out because I didn't want my staff to easily make a mistake. So the first things we ask is we ask you from a security standpoint, is the data sensitive? What we mean by that, do you have personal identifying information? Also, we ask is sensitive in the sense of sensitive to the general public, in the sense of, let's say the information got out, will it cause a panic or cause people to not move in the area and bring down the economy? That's just as important, right? If anything falls in that category, we automatically put it on production internal. Those servers don't even have internet access. So we can't mistakenly put anything to the public when we do that. And in the 6 years we've been here, that's never happened. We've never put data mistakenly to the public. That's why we separated out. And we want to make sure customers knew that we took their security as utmost importance. We also have encrypted databases. We do HTTPS to all of our servers, internal and external. We're the only group in Maricopa County that does that. We keep it, we are very high on security, especially with the data we have today, and we have criminal justice information as well. And with that, we also have our encrypted databases as well, so we can have that data so it's encrypted at rest and in transit. And on top of that, we also have an architectural diagram that we submit, similar to this, that actually shows you how we keep your data protected. And we share that at every meeting, the first meeting we have with executives to go over how their data is protected. One other thing we do is our team gets terminal TOC certified, which is terminal operator certification. And we do that, and when we do that, we get additional FBI fingerprinting done on top of that. Not everybody on the team has that. And then if you have that, there's a handful of servers that you could access above beyond the normal people on my staff. And that's how we keep everything protected and secure. And so we're very big on that. Also, for our development environment, one of the things that we did is we do give some of those 14,000 customers that have been trained up over the years for us access to development so they can play out and use the GIS tools that we have to actually plan out and make actual apps. And then they make them there, we check them if they're good and they're ready, then it goes to production. That actually saved us time because a lot of times our customers just want to try out new applications and new workflows, but it never goes into production. Before, they would have to call me and we would do it, and then my team would get frustrated because it wouldn't go anywhere, and we would spend a lot of time with that. So we gave them that access and that power. And as long as they stay within the framework we developed, everything goes well. So now, because of all those things that we've put together and all the things that we've done with the awards and everything of that nature, now our new reality is we're the best GIS department in the US. And everyone believes it. So now that's my new reality. So, and the reason why I know this is we had a situation where we had some customers that were going to leave out of our management group and go to a different group to be managed from an IT standpoint. And at that point in time, the customers were like, don't touch the GIS department. We like them where they are. They're doing a great job. Don't touch them. And we were the only group that they still put in their funding to have me do the work for them versus them going elsewhere. And I didn't even have to be in those meetings. Those meetings were had at the highest level of our county, and I didn't have to be in those because the work we do with them and the relationships they were able to say that. And that was a big stamp of approval from my standpoint on how we're doing what we're doing. And one of the things I would like to say is the awards, on those awards, our second year, we had a couple of projects that we put together. We won 5 NACO awards for our county. And NACO awards are really big on our side of the county. That helps us judge internally and externally how well we're doing, and the public, helps them understand that too. We do a lot of things that don't get in the limelight, but those really help highlight what we're doing. And when we did those 5, I actually got to shake the hands of the board of supervisors and the county department. We had a big ceremony 5 times in a row. And after that, they're like, man, you guys are doing a lot of great work over there. So we've had GIS and been doing location intelligence for 20 years. But that right there was a turning point. And so the location intelligence and my face kind of went together. So anytime somebody was talking about analysis, a map, or anything like that, they're like, you need to talk data. And that was great because that actually helped us and steered the conversation around where we needed to be versus people going rogue and shadow IT, right? So we don't actually have any of that in our county doing that. And that's a big testament to the team and the work we put together. So last but not least, we're going to go over a couple of our COVID-19 solutions that we have for you guys to highlight what we're able to do in a quick fashion with Esri, as well as how you can take these and then use these in other areas. One of the bigger ones that we did, which you wouldn't believe that you would use GIS, location intelligence for, what we did was fatality management. And what happened as COVID was progressing, the process of a person being deceased and then moving on to the actual funeral homes was really slowed because of so many bodies. Well, we had to get containers, freezers. And when you get these containers and freezers, you got to monitor the temperature. Because if you go over 45 degrees, the body will decompose, and now you have issues when the family comes to retain the body and bury the body. So they got these freezers, was on the call with them, and they were looking like, all right, we're going to do this. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to put paper and mark, every time we, inspect it on the freezer itself. And so I was like, guys, we could do a survey on a tablet or a cell phone, for you guys really quickly and get this done. And they're like, well, we ain't ever seen that before, so we just got to go with the paper, piece of paper. So afterwards, I got on the phone with the team. I'm like, guys, we have another meeting tomorrow at like 10 a.m. We need to have this ready to go. And so the team put this together in the afternoon, and I went and borrowed a 10-inch iPad from another department we was working with, McDOT, Department of Transportation. And I borrowed it, and I said, hey, do you have any extra ones? I may need 5 or 6. Can I buy them from you? They had them. They put them off to the side because I knew they were going to love this. So we put it on there. We downloaded it. And we went to that meeting prepared. We showed them. They loved it. And the argument we were having at that time was, we don't have money for the iPads. Who's going to pay for them? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I will cover it. And I actually bought 2 10-inch iPads for that department so they can run this survey on there every day, every 2 hours. They had to go check these coolers. And they had to put a temperature, and they had also put how many, which ones were in use, which ones wasn't. And then if a cooler went over 44 degrees after 2 times of inspections over 4 hours, we had to send an email alert to everybody because they had to go do work on that cooler. And as you can see in the graphic here, on the right-hand side, where we have A, B, and C on the top right-hand, as you can see, we had the one cooler, B, was having issues, and we had to replace that whole container, the whole cooler, because he was having issues quite frequent. But you can see who inspected at what time and see the graph over time. And it was tremendous. They had this up in our Unified Command Center daily as they were checking on it, and they loved the app moving forward. So that was a cool story there. Also, one of the ones that we used that we knew about, but we was trying to find a really good use case was workforce. So when it came down, we had to do PPE delivery to not only certain facilities, but then we also had to do it to schools as well. And we didn't have a tool to do that. So once again, we're able to look at this in our weekly meetings with our partner, and we're able to find out, hey, workforce would work, and we needed something on the native phone because we had to have county employees and a volunteer in the vehicle because volunteers couldn't drive county vehicles. And that's what we were using initially. And so we were able to do this. As you can see, Scott, he was able to use it. You can upload his picture on a cell phone, and we can assign work to him. And once they get the work assigned, you see his status, and then on the app itself, you can check your status. You could be in the office, you could be out, for lunch or out for the day, and we don't see you on the map anymore. And on the left-hand side there, you can see where you can pick up, the dispatcher would use this app that you're seeing today to assign everything to the actual delivery personnel, and then it puts in what they got to pick up, where they got to drop it off, and you can put an attachment in there and keep all this for our records. So when it comes back and we want to showcase how many deliveries we did, how often, who we had helping, now we have all this data and information. But this tool or solution was a lifesaver in delivering PPE and masks across our county of about 4.5 million people. We're able to do that. So we were ecstatic, and they're still using it today, as you can see. We had something happen on January 14th. Another one we built was a school dashboard. We were able to put on our site school dash, and through Web App Builder, where we're showcasing our cities, elementary schools, high schools, middle schools, and zip codes, and we're showing the changes in the actual test counts and COVID and how it was going up and down. And then we had to score each, and then that score is based on whether learning would commence. You would go back to school, virtual learning, or we do a hybrid version. As you can see on the right-hand side, we also had an overall risk. And so we was able to work with public health to get this information and start calculating this data as we get the data in from the hospitals every 2 weeks. And then we were putting it on a map, and then this was able to let them see if the calculations we were doing from week to week was correct. So they would use this dash to verify. Before, it would take them hours, and they would get an Excel spreadsheet with all this information for every zip code, every elementary school, district, high school, and city, and they would try to eyeball it and check it all off. It went from hours to using this dash. They could check every data set and see what's increasing or decreasing in 10 minutes. Think about that. We were able to build the dash in about a day or two. Then they were able to cut their analysis time down and verification from hours to 10 minutes. That right there was also life-saving to public health because they got their time back. Now they could do the things that they needed them to do, was manage the actual situation in the actual pandemic versus double checking data in an Excel spreadsheet. Also here we have our vaccine planning dashboard, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys may have done this one as well. And we did it for phase 1A and 1B. And we put on the top left-hand side, we put where we get the data from. And that's our Maricopa County Association of Governments, where we got a lot of this different data from. And we populate by region, and this helped us do the planning, right? On how much vaccine we may need in the first phase. And then we had our pre-screening application that we did here, where we were actually pre-screening people in 1A and then sending them along to the locations where they could get the vaccine. And that's where those numbers came from on the pre-screen side, as well as the number of vaccine of the population that we've done up until this point in the different areas of the regions that we had people in. So this was very critical. This dashboard went all the way to the county manager and board of supervisors. And my county manager actually sent emojis about how well she loved this actual dashboard. So when you do great work, it is recognized. And one thing I will tell you is, if you notice on our dashes, a lot of our tools, they look very good. We spend a lot of time. I tell my folks, if you present something that's ugly looking, nobody use it, no matter how functional it is, and then they'll be doubting you. If you present something that looks good, but maybe not as functional, you can add the functional later, but they will approve it based on the looks because they want to engage, they want to take advantage. So looks are extremely important. And we have a UX UI developer on our team that helps make sure our stuff looks really good. Also, Esri does a good job of that too. Also, the one that we have here is our actual vaccine pod tracking dashboard that we use Survey 123. And at each of the pods, we broke it up into 5 pods for 1A, where they were doing the vaccine for the public, and then they would, at the end of the day, tell us what's going on. Now, these numbers are not real numbers, but as you can see, this is what we would have reporting back to us from the actual pods. What kind of reactions happened? Did you have any issues at the pod itself? How many appointments scheduled? Vaccines we have open and closed. Did we waste any vaccines? All this information was critical to managing the vaccine and what's going on there. And we're able to put this together and take advantage of it. So over the life cycle of what we've been doing today with COVID-19, we were able to build at least about 25 solutions over the course of 8-9 months. And normally before our change in architecture and strategy, that would have took us like 3 years to build that many solutions because they were all custom. Now with the invention of web GIS and these other tools that Esri provides, we're able to do this quickly and help our citizens. And we are able to get back to doing what we do best, which is data analysis and helping our partners make better business decisions based on data versus actually maintaining the infrastructure and maintaining applications. And that was critical for us. Because as you guys all know, we all don't have enough staff. And if you can use your staff more effectively, that's what it's all about. And tools that Esri providing and solutions has enabled us to do that. And we're very grateful. So that's all I have for you guys today. Please, if you have any questions about the solutions we have or want to talk to me about any of them or how you can take advantage, reach out to me at any time, and I'll be glad to help.